How's it going, New World? Sethphir here, and today I wanted to sit down and talk about the state of the game in New World, because I know there is a lot going on right now, so there's probably some things that we need to discuss and talk about, as well as give some great ideas for the development of the game going into the future. So I know everyone's super excited, and New World is buzzing right now, and there are some heated areas of discussion for sure. Some things are being enabled, some things are being disabled. So let's go ahead and get right into the meat and bones of that, which is going to be the first topic on hand, the server transfers. A while back, Amazon announced that server transfers would be available, and we do have them now. I was able to transfer my server to a more competitive PvP server, but we only got about halfway through that with our members, and then Amazon pulled the plug. The servers transfers were disabled because they had some issues where some players that were transferring, their items were not matching up with the saved server registration of their items, so they were able to like trade gold and things and then like sort of log out and it would just be reset. So there was a big issue on that. They're working on a fix for it currently that disabled the server transfers for that. But in my opinion, these things, just like with the gear score thing that had happened before, people found a way to abuse the gear score thing. All of this needs a rollback. Like, you cannot have all this gold being flooded into the economy. You cannot have all these people with 600 gear score just getting a slap on the wrist like, yeah, you're banned for a week, because it takes longer than a week to get to 600 gear score, right? So these things need to be addressed, and Amazon needs to figure out a way to actively revert that, basically, to roll back those people that have done those things. And I believe they're trying to do so. There's been talks and discussions about how they're trying to circumvent that. So that's good to see. So that is a problem. They are working on the server transfer thing. And it's just unfortunate, right? Because they did a big test with it. They took some time to figure it out. They rolled out the test on the Southeast server, and then they rolled it out again on the NA server, and there was more bugs that were found. So it looks like it's just going to take some getting used to. And as with all things when they come out, you're going to have some issues, you're going to have some problems at first, but they will eventually be smoothed out over time. The next thing that we have to talk about would be the current state of the endgame. So right now I've been putting in a lot of hours, and I know tons of people have, like, jobs and things to do and stuff like that. I unfortunately have no life right now, so I just play this game nonstop. I'm a big a big fanatic, so maybe using me as the model is not super reasonable, but I just wanted to rush ahead and kind of get information for you guys, especially those that don't have that much time to sit here and play constantly like I do, to give you an insight as to what you're looking at and looking forward towards. So a lot of the content right now is kind of locked away. They disabled Outpost Rush, they disabled the portals because they weren't working right, and neither was Outpost Rush. And then, the third thing they disabled was the server exfers, but that's not really content. But, a lot of things are disabled right now. So in this state, we basically have to slowly get our gear score up from these elite farms, which would be areas like Mirgard, also the Siren's Place and Reekwater. And these two locations are probably about the best that we can do right now. How the game is supposed to be played is you're supposed to farm these greater portals, get enough shards. In my inventory here, you can see these little shards to make keys to enter these little tuning orbs to enter dungeons and things like that, and expeditions and arenas. But the problem is we can't make those right now because it's all disabled. And Outpost Rush is supposed to be a good source of loot and gear as well, however that is also disabled, so we're kind of in this waiting period. So my best advice would be to stock up, start mining, get things like void ore, start creating your pieces to make high level materials and get your professions up, because this is going to be important for you later on. As you can see, I have max refining and gathering. There's no big rush. You're going to need all of these things. So just because you can't do the dungeons right now does not mean that you cannot make progress. So you're going to be able to make progress very easily by getting these professions up, which just requires you to go out and grind them or do those things. Once you have those, you can start creating like the Void Bent set, which is currently like one of the best in the game. And you can also create several other high-level jewelry pieces and things like that if you have a jewel crafter like within your faction or your company and you want to have him go for that. I would not recommend going for all of these top professions because most likely you're not going to be able to do that realistically. Instead, pick one, maybe two. But the gathering professions are the most important because resources are something that you fight for very hard in this game. So that's something that you can do for now. And then the rest of it's just going to be waiting on Amazon to fix those portals so that we can get those keys and enter those dungeons and really start grinding that out. And that's going to be your, 500 to 600 gear score grind where you start looking at perfect items, like items that roll with the exact stats that you want for PvE or PvP. And then you're just going to be kind of playing the lottery, like find game at that point, like a Diablo or Path of Exile style game where you're looking for that item with those perfect stats and the right rolls and the right item level. So that's pretty much what we have to look at right now. So I know that with all those things in place, the other part in the state of the game would be the Halloween that's coming up. There is a store cash shop, bunch of items. I did a little video on that, so you can check that out if you're interested, but there are some limited time items there, and I'm hoping that there will be some sort of Halloween event, but yet they've kind of yet to announce that. They do have a lot on their plate working on those things, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes exactly. I'm sure that they're probably just focusing on bug fixes and issues, and this is where the next part of my video is going to go. I wanted to present 5 things that I feel that Amazon could do to improve the game right now that would really lock people in, right? Like, the game is great. I'm having a lot of fun. Like, I'm putting tons of hours into the game. I've put in so many hours, and I've still yet to, hit anything like sort of a, like, oh, I'm bored or something like that. I even got an achievement for playing like 400 hours or something like that. It's pretty bad. But I got all those things, and so I have plenty to do. The issue is that I want to be able to do some of the other things right now, and they need to start getting into that. So unless you're like me and you've been playing 24/7, you're getting nowhere close to being able to like cap out on what you can do. But let's start talking about some of those improvements. So this is going to be 5 things that I think Amazon should prioritize and work on just for the sake of the game. And then down in the comments below after, if you want to tell me some of the things that you feel that Amazon should be prioritizing right now, just to kind of make things, be set in the right direction so they're working on things that matter and not working on things that do not matter at all. So first, these are not going to be in any order, but one topic I think is the Ice Gauntlet and certain spells that make wars lag. We've seen a lot of this. We've seen, I think, in one of the Twitch Rivals events where they banned the Ice Gauntlet, and there was like little to no lag. They banned the Ice Storm on it, at least. So there are some abilities that are causing major lag, and I think it has to do with abilities that target the ground, that change the landscape of the ground, and like something with that processing with the servers does not play nice. So when you have a bunch of people, like 100 people in an area, doing that to the ground and the environment and these circles, it just creates a bit of lag and tension, and the servers don't seem to be able to keep up with that. The next thing that I have in mind would be like the scarcity of the nodes, because like currently if you want to do an orichalcum route or something that's high level, everyone is there. They're just farming it constantly. Like if you go to the Scorch Mines, it's completely on lock. There are people with tents in front of every orichalcum node. It's insane, and this is coming from a high population server. On the low population servers, I'm sure it's not as bad, but eventually the servers will fill up to their capacity, right? And things will be in the high state, and you will have to kind of look at that and figure out what you're going to do to get resource nodes. So I think they need to increase the amount of resource nodes, because we have a lot of issues where you'll have 5 players waiting on one spawn, and they all have tents there, and they're just like, flaming each other because someone's getting the node and someone isn't. It's like, man, there's no need for that. Like, just put some more spawns in the game. There needs to be some more resources here, especially to support some of these servers that have higher populations. That definitely needs to be a thing, or maybe even just a faster respawn rate or whatever it may be, because that seems to be the biggest choke point right now. Another issue that I think should be dealt in like combination with that is I do see bots still. I see a lot of like level 20, level 30, level 40 bots just camping an orichalcum node. You try to wave at them, they don't do anything. You message them, they don't say anything, and they're just there farming it. Like we had that epidemic with the fishing bots thing. I know Amazon has been working hard to deal with those because they did ban a lot of fishing bots and a lot of people that were doing things like that, but just redouble those efforts and kind of really lock in that resource node control point. The next thing that I'm looking at is the quality of the loot from the endgame dungeons. I've cleared Garden of Genesis many times already. Same with the Lazarus Instrumentality, and the quality of the loot from there seems to be very low, but it does forcibly guarantee you like a upgrade, which is nice to see, but I would like to see the average quality of the loot being bumped up there. Especially the chests in the dungeon. When you go to open a chest, it just feels like you get a couple of greens and some gems, and you're like, ooh, cool. But the actual elites and boss monsters within the dungeons are where you're seeing most of the good loot. So I would like to see especially the expedition chests giving some better loot or better variety, something of that nature, because some of those items are so scarce and so hard to get an upgrade or the right thing that it feels like with the current keys that we have, it's almost not worth walking into that dungeon unless you're already 591 soft cap open world gear score, like fully across the board, and then you might want to walk in and try to bump that up to 600. Maybe that's how it's supposed to be by design, but I don't think so, because the quests themselves for the dungeons give experience, so it's almost as if it's telling you to do it as a level 55 or as a fresh level, like, 58, 59, but then it's not, the reward is not proportionate. So this kind of needs to be adjusted and looked at. The next section that I wanted to talk about was like the server size situation going on. So currently I'm on Valhalla, which is one of the more popular servers. I would say the highest queue time in the game. During prime time, there's about an hour to a 2-hour queue wait. I think that could be eliminated. I think they just need to identify these servers that have high pop and increase the size of that. I think it should be flexible to suit the needs of that server, because there's no reason that someone should be setting in an hour or 2-hour queue just to play in and log the game. And I've seen worse, right? Like I come from classic WoW where there were massive wait times to play in the big servers, like 6-10 hour queues just to get in. And I've seen worse, but it doesn't need to be this bad. Like, let people play where they want to play. So increase the server size, allow there to be some big servers. There can also be small servers too. That's perfectly fine, because not everybody wants to be on that big server, but you need to increase that variance and just get that stability there. And then last on my list is going to be more content needs to be included. Maybe not today, but within the next month or 2 months, it would be nice to see more content coming out, because we currently have 3 arenas, 2 of which are located in Reekwater, 1 of which is located in Eden's Grove, and then we have 2 dungeons that are high level, which is going to be Garden of Genesis and the Lazarus Instrumentality. So there's not a whole lot of options. Like you got a bit of options, but you don't have a lot. And I know in the past, Amazon mentioned that they were working on expeditions. They had 6 more planned, so it might be a good time to get some of those out here within the next month or 2, so that we could have extra options for tuning orbs and extra dungeons that we could play around with and get some different variety of gear and some different rare material drop sources and things like that. And on a side note to that, in the expeditions, I would like to say the resource nodes within the expeditions are very underwhelming. A lot of times it's like, here's a life bloom, and it's like, why is that there? I almost feel like it should either not be there, or it should be there but have like a really high chance to drop the rare components from that node within the dungeon. And that might be an answer to the open world sort of, camping situation that we got going on here, because everybody wants Void Ore to make their Void Bent set, but you just can't get it. But if you put Orichalcum in these Garden of Genesis and Lazarus Instrumentality instances and increase the drop rate on Void Ore just specifically in the instance, just make it have no respawn time, then your key all of a sudden becomes more valuable, and people would get that from there, and it would also allow open world players to farm the orichalcum without being super contested and camped, because there might be a good option for other players to go into an expedition with. So these are a few of my ideas. PvP has its issues as well with some balance, but this is to all be expected. We've seen this time and time again with new MMOs and new games. WoW was the same way. Final Fantasy was the same way. They all come out and they're like, they need time, they need work, they need improvement to become perfect. And I think that this game has the potential to really get up there and shoot up very high, and that's why I'm so invested and interested in it, because I'm putting a lot of time in on the hopes and the potential of everything that's here, and I see the current state of it, and it's really fun. I got a lot to do. There's a lot of things I can do and explore, but I just want to give my thoughts and my feedback so that everyone can see that, and the developers hopefully can see that, and they can get a good idea on what's important, like what do people want to focus on, and what happens when you reach the end game. Because again, this is coming from someone with full void bent. I got a lot of gold, I have a lot of max professions, I'm getting up there, and I'm going to start working on these other things soon. So for me right now, I log in and I can do Shattered Mountain right here for Mirgard. I can do Reekwater, and once I've run those two places, my options are kind of thin. I do have a little bit that I could run in Shattered Mines, but keep in mind this does take me about 3 hours to complete all these areas, so that is quite a lot of gameplay every day. But the things I can't do that I want to do right now is Outpost Rush, I want to do Portals, and I want to do Dungeons. And I barely get to do those because the portals are locking me from entering the dungeons, and then the dungeons are, they require day and weekly cooldowns from stone cutting to just create a key, and so I'm kind of gated on that a little bit. And I get that the idea is to creep it down, but we need something right now. We need Outpost Rush to be available so we can PvP and have fun, and we need some sort of ranked system. We need more expedition variety, and we need a place that we can go to guarantee like open world PvP, because a lot of times I see people running around outflagged, like even on Valhalla, like the supposed best PvP server, I just see people unflagged all the time. If they are flagged, they're in like a group of 50, but hardly people are solo flagging. So maybe there needs to be like one area in the game that has forced PvP. I don't know. It's a little tricky on that mechanic because you get into that sort of like unfair battle thing, which is, I don't like to see that so much. So maybe that's not the best idea. But some area where you could get even fights, like a 5 versus 5 fight or something, would solve that problem. So really ranked system would solve everything, because if I could enter a ranked arena key right now, I would play for the next 4 months just competing for ladder points. Like, you wouldn't even have to give me rewards, honestly. Like, it would be great if you did. Like, I would love, and I would love to get end of season rewards and some cool cosmetics and stuff like that. And I would love to get like a little bit of gold and a little bit of Azoth or something for doing an arena match, especially more getting into the high levels, or some sort of like PvP gear that was really good for PvP specifically, but locked behind ranks, kind of like how WoW Arena does. We have to get like 2400 or something to buy that piece. Like, this would all be great, and that would serve for that longevity boost, right? And that's something that could be easy and could be implemented right now, because if you already have the framework for Outpost Rush, that means that you obviously have the same framework for a ranked arena match. You just need to drop us into an area and let us go, right? So these would be really good like things to hold people's time off, because the game is super fun, and I understand the developers may need time to make content, and that's okay. I'm totally happy to wait with that, because like I said, there's tons of things I could do. I want to max all these things. I want to max all my weapons. I've maxed all the strength weapons, so I'm going to play this game completely. Like, I'm going to get all the achievements and everything like that. I'm working on the progress for that, so I love all these things to do. But while we're completing those, that's giving you guys time. So just prioritize and come out with, ranked PvP matches. Come out with more expeditions, harder expeditions, hard mode of the current expeditions. These type of things would really be what players want to see, because they want to see that long-term end game and that longevity. Once they reach 60, they want to know what the next goal is. They want to know what the next thing is to do. And giving them that guidance and giving them something to do would really do well for the the strength of the game and make it a very, very solid MMORPG choice, like to come into the future, all the way going into 2022, especially with some of the other games coming up. So hopefully that will help give you guys some insight as to what maybe need to be done to kind of accomplish that. Thanks for watching, everyone. I appreciate your time and kind of listening to this. And if you have not already, feel free to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And I'm also curious as to your thoughts. So if you could drop down what you think below in the comments that the developers should be working on right now, or things you would like to see that would really like keep you interested and keep you here playing for a long time, put all those down below, because the more thoughts that we get and the more ideas that we get, the better off it's gonna be, and that will just help the game get better in general. We also have the join button if you're interested in that, so you can check that one out. It has a little membership that has badges, emojis, and things like that. We have a Discord as well, which has me in it. If you can ask me some questions, you can ask other people from the community some questions, and it's a great place to get good information, resources, especially on like gold farms, in-game PvP and PvE content. And I think that'll be it for now. Thanks for your time, everyone. Appreciate you watching, and we will catch you in the next video.